Messi underwent medical tests to evaluate the extent of the muscle discomfort he experienced during last night's Leagues Cup match against Necaxa, which forced him to leave the field. To continue on, the results confirmed a minor muscle injury in his right leg. His medical clearance will depend on his clinical progress in response to treatment. So it's all still up in the air, but it's not too terrible. It maybe looked a little bit worse because Messi is one of those players that just
This man
doesn't.
is distraught. Look at him.
Are you okay?
No, I'm not. That's a medical report without being a medical report. It's as vague could be and as open-ended as it could possibly be. And basically, they are able to check the box of providing the report that they needed to provide, and then that's it. They gave no information whatsoever. Muscle discomfort doesn't get Lionel Messi off the field. Mm-hmm. Okay? So obviously, there's something that he has done in a soft tissue injury. We don't know what that is because Inter Miami hasn't provided all the information necessary. But why I say it's open-ended is like, well, we'll see how the recovery goes. We have seen this before from Lionel Messi in Inter Miami. We'll see how the recovery goes. And it has extended itself far beyond the 2-3 week period. That has happened in the past. And so I wouldn't be surprised if that were the case right now. If we're going to speculate, and it is a soft tissue injury, and it is, let's just say, for example, it's a hamstring injury, hey, at least 2 weeks before we see Lionel Messi again. At least 2 weeks.
Let me start off with what Ollie's saying right now. We have seen it from Inter Miami. We have seen it from the league where they look the other way. They take a blind side, and it's BS. They're going to milk this that Messi is day to day. We're going to wait and see. Game time decision every single game, and then he doesn't show up, and it'll somehow affect the gate in a positive way. It'll somehow affect sponsorship in a positive way. Because if you were today saying, hey, Messi's out for the next month, do you know what the viewership in Leagues Cup would be? Well, they're going to take a break. Do you know what the gate would be at some of these away games versus Inter Miami? It would plummet. It would go down. They use it to their advantage. And conveniently, only with Inter Miami, only with Lionel Messi. Any other athlete in Major League Soccer, they would force the team to disclose the injury and how long. This is usually tied down to gambling sites because you need to know the availability. It all comes back to money, et cetera, et cetera. It's never minor if Messi comes out. He's not that type of guy. He's going to be on the field, and he wants to play every single game. So there's a few things here. How this impacts Inter Miami going forward, and their chances, whether it be Leagues Cup or League, and also how correct many people were, and Messi was, and hearing his body and saying, I need a break. I can't play this all-star game. He probably already felt something. He probably felt he was already getting to that stage, already getting to that place that he's known before, and he's like, if I don't rest, if I don't take a breather, something's going to give out here.
And he was out 2 games. He was out the All-Star game. He was out that game against Cincinnati. So it was kind of a blessing in disguise, Ale. But how does this tie back to that conversation that we had 2-3 weeks ago about Messi needing to rest?
Well, Exhibit A. Exhibit A, Major League Soccer. Exhibit A, Don Garber. Exhibit A, offices of Major League Soccer. Here it is. You want to hang your hat on this game suspension for Lionel Messi and Jordi Alba, but it's amazing how we've forgotten about Jordi Alba and having all that conversation. But regardless, Lionel Messi. If you are MLS, you want Lionel Messi on the field all the time in whatever competition, which is whether it's Leagues Cup or MLS and whatever other made-up competitions there are here in this country. Leagues Cup is a made-up
Confederation, because we're going to 3 countries.
It's made up regardless. And this version of it is something else. It's something special. And yet you're saying, you know what? You missed the All-Star game, so here you go, miss a match. You're suspended. If I were Lionel Messi, petty as I may be naturally, the moment I pull the hamstring, and I know that it's now a soft tissue injury, and I know this comes from overuse, and I know part of it has to do with the fact that, well, apparently I can't rest, and I got to go to an all-star game, and I get suspended because of it, I would turn to the cameras and to whoever is watching in the MLS offices and go, take that, take that, take that, take that, take that. But, of course, that means that I'm missing games because I'm injured. So I would backtrack from being as petty. But if it were me, I would be, in some ways, in a sick world, I would be happy that I got injured, just to provide evidence.
I get it.
Just to provide evidence that, hey,
This
look,
is what I was talking about.
Either you take care of me, you got to take care of the golden goose head.
Yeah.
I am the golden goose, and you don't want to take care of me. These are the things.
Do you know how fortunate Major League Soccer and Leagues Cup is here? Could you imagine he gets injured in the very first game? The way this tournament is formatted, only 4 teams go through out of 18, and you compete within your own league only. So realistically, they're going to get by and get very fortunate and lucky that most likely Inter Miami will beat Pumas. Pumas, Keylor Navas was red carded. They're going to go back to the 17-year-old kid who's hasn't been that great in his first 2 outings. You could easily attest both defeats to that kid. They'll probably scrape by, and they'll be one of the top 4 teams to make it. And then there's a pause. There's a break. So that Leagues Cup and Messi going for a trophy is still in play. It's still in line. And they'll look out that way. But you can't bank on Lionel Messi being around forever. And you've got to make the moments, like when you compete against Liga MX, like when you're seen in a different stage. You got to make those moments count. So having your biggest product, your biggest assets go down early in a game like this, it just gives fuels to all those naysayers. And there's a few on this panel of like, hey, this is why. This is why you give the man rest when he needs rest.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't suspend him when he wants that rest. And he maybe felt something, as you said, Ale, but of course we will never know. So that's definitely one of the complaints for Inter Miami. There were other complaints around Inter Miami as well, specifically with Javier Mascherano talking about the refereeing. Let's take a listen and we'll talk.
Javier, ¿qué piensas, qué opinas al respecto sobre que un partido que disputa el Inter Miami frente al Necaxa, en este caso, sea dirigido por un árbitro de México?
No,
esa es la...
está mal.
Está mal.
Y está mal, ¿qué te parece?
Sí,
¿A vos te parece está bien?
No.
Ninguna competición la puede dirigir ninguna competición que se enfrentan 2 equipos de diferentes países la puede dirigir un árbitro de un país que está participando el equipo. Después no sé cómo es la historia esta, no me voy a meter ni me interesa. Vos me estás preguntando qué me parece, está mal. Está mal porque de todas las competiciones que he participado como jugador y el poco tiempo que llevo de entrenador, nunca un árbitro de la misma nacionalidad de mi equipo o del rival me dirigió. Es la primera vez y está mal. Si quieren hacer una competencia seria, tienen que cambiar. Lo siento. Esta es así de clarito. Y no digo que el error es porque el árbitro, a ver, todos nos equivocamos, faltaría más. Me extraña que no haya ido al VAR. A ver, me extraña. Por lo menos, lo vuelvo a repetir, confirmá tu decisión en el VAR. Confirmala. ¿Qué cuesta? 30 segundos más, 1 minuto. Van por cada cosa al VAR. Y no fueron por una expulsión que te cambia el partido. Nada, para mí está mal.
Is get lost or get lost? Ale, do you agree with what Javier Mascherano is saying?
Generally speaking, I would agree with Javier Mascherano. If this were a continental competition that we can get behind and that weren't so difficult to actually explain, then I would understand where he's coming from. But culturally speaking, those of us that have played in MLS understand that there are teams from Canada in MLS. If an American team is playing a Canadian team, does that mean that we cannot have neither a Canadian nor an American referee? So where are we going to get the referee from if you're MLS? And that is something that happens every weekend in Major League Soccer. So it's not something that has been an issue in this country, and perhaps it's not something that Javier Mascherano is familiar with. It doesn't mean that it's right or it's wrong. I'm just telling you that it's just the reality of Major League Soccer. And so I don't even think it's something that they would have thought about when they're designating referees. What if the Mexican teams then say, hey, we'll have no American referees if we're playing an American team? So where are we going to get those referees from? Where's the busload of referee coming for Leagues Cup?
And a tournament being played in the States.
And I appreciate why you make that clarification, but every tournament in this continent is played in the United States. Even tournaments that shouldn't, like Copa America. But I digress.
True.
I understand what he's saying. He's absolutely right. In normal footballing tournaments, this would never and should never happen because there are those conspiracy theorists out there going to say, wait a second, the Mexican referee called a red card on the American team and it didn't look like a red card, and then it leads people down. Yeah, you know, the tin hats. It leads people down these roads.
The Twilight Zone.
Okay.
It leads people down roads that we shouldn't be talking about.
Right.
But there's 54, I believe, phase one, group phase matches. I can tell you from having watched plenty of CONCACAF football, let's just say you give one good referee 3 matches. There aren't 10 good referees between Mexico, between the US, between Costa Rica, between Guatemala. There's not enough of those referees. It's a numbers game, so I can see why they are doing it this way. Ali brings up a good point of this is nothing new to people who have experienced Major League Soccer, but it is very new, in the modern era at least, to those Mexican League fans who are saying, wait a second. And it's not only happened here. We've heard it from America. Jardine was just saying the same thing about his game against Minnesota. He was blaming the referee instead of blaming his defenders. You know, they could seriously be to blame. So this is a normal feeling. I'm not going to give Javier Mascherano a get lost because I understand he doesn't come from the CONCACAF world. But in this tournament, which is a made-up tournament, that the format is weird, that the tiebreakers are weird, everything about this is weird. This is another weird quirk in this little tournament. So it is what it is.
I mean, and it seems like when we see the list of complaints from Inter Miami, they're asking to be catered to on several things. Maybe the latest being the suspension of Lionel Messi and Jordi Alba when we've seen that in years past. Can this be kind of a dangerous territory as well, Herc, when we talk about Inter Miami's kind of complaints and wanting to change a lot of league rules?
No. I think every league around the world has. I mean, Real Madrid, Barcelona, they're going to get the calls. They're going to want more to go their way. Club America in Mexico, it's the same thing. Inter Miami is that team within Major League Soccer. They expect preferential treatment for what they bring to the table. They've also been punished for that as well.
Exactly.
A few years ago, they were caught cheating and they were punished for it. I think it comes with the table being one of these super clubs, especially in a league like Major League Soccer, supposed to be built around parity. They seem to be the team that gets away with most things, most signings. How can you fit this in? Somehow Inter Miami finds a way. So, yeah, I could see where you're going with that. Most fans around the league have whiplash when it comes to Messi. They have whiplash when it comes to Inter Miami and everything it brings. I can see why some fans would feel that way, but no, I don't think they're entering any type of dangerous territory. I think they are the territory.
This is not a new conversation in Major League Soccer. In fact, I would point to a team that both Herc and I played in. Far more likable when I was playing with that team rather than when Hercules was playing with that team. The LA Galaxy.
Yeah.
At some point, the LA Galaxy were that team.
The first one.
In MLS. And sort of this dynasty kind of thing, and the almighty and all-powerful. And the thought from other teams in Major League Soccer was, well, they get the preferential team. They get every single player. They get every decision going their way. They get everything because they are the LA Galaxy. Now that has transitioned into Inter Miami. And I'm sure the moment that Lionel Messi walks out the door, that may just change, and it may be another team that will take on that mantle.
Yeah, because we're seeing big names come to MLS. We talk about Thomas Müller. We talk about the possibility of seeing Heung-min Son here very soon. Obviously, nothing official at the moment. But we do want to remind you that ESPN...